I keep wanting to pinch myself because finally, after over 25 years, I'm once again the owner of an Amiga. In fact, 2 Amigas. A few months ago, I was talking to my old friend Rick Whitten about Retro Tech. He told me his original Amiga 500 and Amiga 2000 were in their boxes in a closet and had been there since the mid-90s. So he asked me if I thought I might have a use for them, and you can guess what my answer was. So a few days ago, they passed through town and we were able to catch up for a few hours. Since they were coming this way, he went ahead and brought the Amigas with him so that we could save them from the disaster that shipping can be. Let's see what we have and make sure there's not any issues with leaking batteries. So one of the first things I noticed when we were unloading these was that the Amiga 2000 is actually an Amiga 3000, and it's the top 25/100 trim to boot. There's also the original Amiga 500 in the box, just like mine back in the day, and a giant bin full of 3.5-inch discs. One of the things that is really special to me about these computers is this is as close as I will ever get to my old computer. So back in the day, Rick was the editor for the Eugene Springfield Amiga user group. I was a secretary, and later on for a while I was a president. So we made these newsletters on this Amiga 500. Rick did all the editing, and later on the 3000. I've got 11 issues here. I don't remember if this is all we ever did or if it was there are more. If the hard drives on the 3000 can be saved, that's where we're going to find all the original files. So I have these old newsletters, and as far as I know, these are the only copies that exist. My plan is to scan them. My copier is a really pain in the neck for scanning large format stuff like this, but I will get around to scanning everything. I'll check online and see if somewhere like archive.org would be a good place to store these, and I will make them available to people when the time comes. A lot of fun. Had a fun time with this. This is like our prototype issue, and I called an old friend Tom and started reading him a review of the game Black Crypt that's in here. And he's like, it's really cool that you found an old review of that game. I love that game. I said, yeah, you wrote the article. He was like, oh, wait, what? You had to be there. It was hilarious. Let's start with the Amiga 500, since that is the Amiga I originally had. When I originally spoke to Rick a couple of months ago, I had him pull the A501 RAM expansion, and thankfully he said there was no green on the connector. Rick did mention that there's no power supply for the Amiga 500, so let's just open it up and see how things are looking. There's the serial number. Box isn't in too bad a shape. Certainly brings back memories. All right, let's see what's inside. Did I mention Rick is a very well-organized person? So even silica gel in there. Go Rick! And here is the original cover. I'm telling you, Rick, it's leatherette. All right, what do we got here? 23 pins, so this has to be a VGA cable. So I'm going to guess this goes to the Amiga 3000. Oh, there's the RAM expansion. A501 should be. There's a little bit of rust on it, but the connector looks clean. I obviously can't get inside without a soldering iron, but this is where we're at for now. All right. Zorro cover. And a tank mouse. I remember these. There's the mouse. Mouse looks pretty good to me. All right, now the 500 itself. This video is the first in a series, and I'm going to call, for lack of a better idea, Tidbit Tuesdays. I have over 100 videos on my list for you, and I'm adding new ones faster than I complete them. Future Tidbit Tuesdays could include mail calls, quick looks, minor repairs, tips and tricks, and the like. Well, see, that's a good sign. We've got the floppy transport cardboard in there. And it looks good. It's got plenty of yellow in it, especially on the right side. And if I remember the way his apartment was set up in the day, is his desk had a window right here, so that doesn't surprise me in the least. Got a little bit of rust on the plastic cover and a little bit of corrosion in here, but I don't think it's any kind of a real issue. Take a quick shot of that. So just a little bit of corrosion, a bit of rust, so hopefully that's not going to be an issue when we get inside here. The expansion connector looks great. I will move this box so your view is a little less busy. All right, bigified. I wish I had a picture of my old Amiga 500. I had pimped it with the external hard drive from Supra, maxed out RAM, and it was installed in a full-size server tower case. There's not a lot of Amiga 500Ts hanging around. I also designed an Amiga 500 MIDI interface back in the day. This was intended to be a commercial product that I would sell under my company name of Digitronics. I had this completely done. I designed and built the circuit boards. I had 100 of them made. All I needed was for my partner to make the dies to cut the front and back panels, which he never did. And the panels were just a pain in the neck to cut by hand, especially for the DIN connector on the back. So in the end, these never got made. I handmade maybe a dozen sets of panels and sold these to local people. As recently as about 10 years ago, I ran into somebody who said they were still using it. Once at least one of these machines is up and running, I plan to recreate this MIDI interface with modern production techniques and release it as an open source project. Okay, I was briefly interrupted there, but that's not a problem. I was just taking a quick look at this and everything's looking pretty happy to me. So go ahead and pull the keyboard off of here and take a look. Can't get that out of there. I'm just gonna rotate that off to the side and leave. All right, so taking a look, I see that the RAM is all, looks like Kyocera, and I think that's a good thing. And looking at the kickstart, it's a version 2.04, and I do remember because I upgraded this one and mine back in the day. Motorola 68,000, one of my favorite dip chips ever made. Denise is looking good. Paula, the Gatorade Gary, nice little dust bunnies. Go away, dust bunnies. I don't see a sign of any leaking on the caps. And I'm not going to pull the floppy drive out, I don't think, until time for a full restoration. But this all looks pretty good. I wish I could turn it on, but I don't have a power supply, so I'm not going to turn it on. So let's put it back together. I think we're in good shape. I will get in here later and make a list of all the capacitors. But in the meantime, I will put this back together. I will put the case on right. I'd like to try powering it up for you, but I've not assembled the universal Commodore bench power supply I'm working on. Once I get that up and running, we can see if it's working. All right, I'm going to put the screws back in, and I'll bet you don't need to watch that, so I will stop the cameras now. Rick also surprised me with this huge bin of discs. It should contain a mixture of freeware, shareware, and copies of commercial programs. As far as I can estimate, it looks like well over 600 floppies. A lot of the discs are just labeled with numbers. This is how Rick managed his discs, so all he had to do if he overwrote a disc was to update the listing, which he included. Mostly. The first page is missing, so the first 149 discs are just going to have to be a surprise. There's also a ton of hand-labeled discs, so I'll have a job sorting everything out and testing the discs once we have one of the Amigas up and running. Is there anything in particular I should be looking for? It looks like the original discs for the computers are in here also. Finally, let's take a look at the Amiga 2000. That turned out to be a 3000. What an upgrade! The box says it's a 25100, so it should have a Motorola 68030 at 25 MHz and a 105 megabyte disk drive. All right, well, the first thing I see is a Supra fax modem. I had a friend back in the day who worked at Supra. To go with this, which is a V.52 bis, I have this V.32 bis, or sorry, V.42 bis, in a gold anodized case, which is very rare. A friend of mine worked there, and one of the, I think it was the vice president, thought it was the most god-awful, ugly thing he'd ever seen, said get him a silver one. So he did, and I don't know what I gave my buddy for this one, but I've had it ever since. So now I think you know why Super modems never came in gold anodized cases, because the vice president thought they were bugly. What else have we got here? Oh, that looks familiar. A 1010 external drive. That'll be handy as heck. What's this? CPS 500. Hey, this is a power supply for the Amiga 500. Rick said there wasn't one, but he was probably remembering the old original OEM one and must have had a replacement at some point. If that is indeed a power supply for the 500, we can try powering it up in a little bit. Woohoo! Can I have a working Amiga today? We can only hope. All right. Office Max mouse pad. Bye-bye. This must be the mouse that came with the 3000. I am not at all familiar with this style of mouse, but it is Commodore branded, dated 4 of 92. Oh, hey, look, one of these. It's a good thing I got this, because I am so short on these cables, I think I only have a 5-gallon tub of them. 25 pins, so that's just a serial cable. And a very orange looking, oh, I even kept the cover for that. Wow, Rick, you are, if nothing, very attentive to detail. I admire that. Used number A3000. So yeah, clearly just an A3000 keyboard. It's a nice hefty keyboard. Wonder if that works. We'll find out. If you think I'm rushing, yeah, I kind of want to get to the good stuff. Okay, and there it is in its original Commodore plastic bag. Awesome. All right, I am going to take this off the bench and then lift it up onto here. Okay. Here we go, Amiga 3000. I have never touched one of these in my life. There it is. Well, looks like a cover where you could put another drive, I'm guessing. Very yellowed. Look at the back. I'm looking at the ports to see if there's any corrosion. Oh, looks pretty good to me. So hopefully we're in good shape. Serial number 02718, which is the same that's on the box. And oh, it has SCSI, cool. And it passed hot pot. So that's good soup. I have no idea what enable disable is for. Like I said, never mess with one of these, but I'm sure I'll find out. And then that must be the VGA port I read about, which is freaking awesome. I can use that. This old VGA monitor here. And the nice thing is this monitor was working like a year ago. It was our server monitor. And I never bothered to replace it because it got used so infrequently and it still works. So what's the point, you know? So let's get inside this thing and see what we find. Looks like there's some screws on the side. All right, Ready for the moment of truth? Not sure I am. Oh, yeah. No. I see the word Varta. Right there. And as you can see, definitely have some acid damage. Okay, so sadly we have quite a bit of damage here that's going to have to be repaired. I have seen worse before. As long as I can get everything, I should be just fine. But in the meantime, I want to get this battery off the board and stop the carnage. This is a very robust connector, very wide. And there it is. The evil has been exorcised, but not before it did its damage. So what I will do next is I will keep this on my bench, but after this video's out, I'm going to go through, make a list of all the damaged components, and work on getting them ordered. I'll also use some vinegar to stop the acid from continuing to cause damage. I'll go ahead and get this cleaned up. I'll shoot video of it, but I won't include it until a future video where I actually do the restoration. But I will stop it, not wait. Other than that, we have 2 hard drives, a floppy, which that's just an extra cable for another floppy. Oh, because you could put one there. So then, hard drive wise, I'm not sure what these are, but I'll include it right here in the video. I'll include it right here. I'll tell you what it is. And so I'm thinking we want to get these drives out of here so we can see what's underneath. So let's take a look. These are not the easiest things to find your way around in when you're not used to them. Looks like there's some screws on the front. Maybe I can just pull them out that way. Well, this drive should still work because it says right on it that it's quality. This is ridiculous. Redonkulous. I think I need to stop winging it and check out a service manual. So, we'll be back after I check out a service manual. So, I dug out a manual and took a look like I should have in the first place. This little S clip comes out. I'm sure a bunch of you were sitting there screaming that, and you were correct. And then this just unplugs from here and comes out. There's the daughter card. Right, so and then the platform should just lift out. Disconnect disc cables. There we go. We are free. Free. And again, this is not intended to be a service and repair video. I will properly cover how to disassemble this when I do a repair video, which let's just put it this way. I got a bunch of videos I've promised people I get out, so I need to keep them in front of the line, but this is the one that's going to be really calling to me. So I will get to this as soon as I possibly can, but I know that there are people waiting. There's people waiting for the completion of the Mac SE30 project. There's people waiting for the second part and full restoration on the Osbourne Executive. And so I need to do those first, I think. But in the meantime, I will get stuff on order for this, so when the time comes, we'll be set. So, it looks like we got plenty of room for expansion as far as adding more RAM. There's the ROMs. Getting my head in here real close just to look. So, it looks like the battery acid damage has not made it to the back plane. It certainly has made it all throughout Denise, so a little worried about that. I will get that socket replaced and we'll clean that chip up as best we can. It's kind of sad and discouraging, but it should be doable. As long as we don't have issues with a center layer on this board. I'm not sure if these boards are 2-layer or more. If it's more than 2 layers, it could be trouble, but we will find out. I went ahead and checked the power supply, and it is indeed for the Amiga 500. All of its voltages are good, so I went ahead and hooked it up. All I get is a dim power light and a solid screen of undetermined color, since the only monitor I have that would work is a 1702 on the monochrome composite output. I'm guessing it's a green screen. I hope you liked this first Tidbit Tuesday. Feel free to leave suggestions in the comments below, and here's another video you might like. So he asked if maybe I might want them, and I told him maybe I might want them.